Jason Furman's data, some of the most powerful data that he came up with this morning, and for those of you who were there to hear it, he went into far greater depth. One of the most sobering statistics here is that in this AI world that we're entering, there is an incredible disparity on the basis of income in terms of the potential labor impact. That if you're in a job that pays under $20 an hour, the chance of potential displacement by some of the latest figures that Jason's team worked out are up to 80%, 81%. If you're in a field that pays over $40 an hour, that chance goes down to something like 4 or 5%. It's a tremendous income disparity. And what that tells us is that there is good reason for us to have a robot security guard patrolling a parking lot making front page news. Because it means that this is no longer the sort of economic phenomena that most people were connecting as strictly a manufacturing phenomenon or something that was happening to the other, but instead can be pervasively felt across the economy. At the same time, the data are also telling us that this revolution may already be here, and it may be a little bit less exotic than many of us are envisaging when we think of something like that robot security guard. So we're at a law school. Let's talk about the robot lawyer. There was a lot of news this week about a chatbot that is fighting parking tickets. I'm sure it will disappoint all the law students in the audience to hear that maybe they won't make their living fighting parking tickets for a living. Maybe it's good planned obsolescence, maybe not. But at the same time, it's worth having a little bit of context. What's new there is that there is a contextual chatbot that will ask you questions about your parking ticket, and then we'll fight it on your behalf. But there have been services like LegalZoom, for instance, that have provided ways to automate the business of lawyering for some time. This is not completely new. And so what that tells us from an economic policy standpoint is that we can start to conceive of what some of this displacement will look like, that it's all not going to happen at once. It's not going to happen across the entire economy. And so there are ways that we can begin to think about it. But it's also telling us something about our education system that is pretty profound. And that is, we live in a world right now where we assume that the education that we gain, whether it's high school, career and technical education, or a four-year university, that's going to carry us for 40 years through the rest of our career. And that's an outdated notion. And it's one that we need to reconcile with the way that we live right now and the pace in which technology is evolving. Because the reality here is that we need to destigmatize career education. We need to destigmatize gaining more skills. And we can see the evidence of that right now. There are 600,000 jobs in this country right now that are vacant because they require technology skills that Americans don't have. And so that's why the president launched something called Tech Hire, which is an initiative all over the country to try to get adults, those coming out of college, elsewhere, the technical skills that they need to get high-paying jobs for right now. That's a microcosm of something that's happening in one pocket of the economy that we're going to see over and over again. And so there are lessons that we can draw from projects like that. And there probably is a little bit of cause for hope here. Because on the question, will we all be jobless? Are there jobs? The truth is, our economy has managed to absorb huge influxes of population and of new workers, including but not limited to the influx of women in the workforce. And so there is something to the continued ingenuity of the American economy in the creation of new labor categories. And it's a lot easier for us to think about the current jobs that will be rendered obsolete than it is for us to envision the jobs that don't exist quite yet, in the labor categories that don't exist. And so for that reason, there's cause for optimism, and not least of which because even right now, the sorts of artificial intelligence technologies that we're talking about can be hugely empowering for small businesses that are suddenly in the find in their hands enterprise-grade analytics. And there are new advances that can help address one key issue that Furman came up on over and over again, and that is labor productivity. And so I think there's cause for great optimism in terms of what this technology can give many of our workforce right now, but there's an incredible amount of work to do to make sure that the progress we're seeing in the technology space is more broadly shared across the economy.